Hello, Julie. Can you hear us? You might need to unmute your mic. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the 12th of September. I'm calling the Golf Committee meeting to order at 1:30. And for those able, please stand and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. In calling the meeting to order, we've established quorum. We have 8 members present in person. We have a 9th member who is online. We just can't hear her at this time. We'll be working on that and try to get her voice working as the meeting goes along. The first order of business that I have to take care of is we have meeting procedures. Every meeting conducted by the rec centers will follow these same procedures, so I will read them to you. The governing board conducts all of its meetings, including committee meetings, in compliance with the Arizona open meeting laws per ARS 33-1804 and in concert with the rec center bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures, as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order, will also be followed, consistent with bylaw 3.07 and standing rules number 2 and number 3. All questions and comments are directed to the committee chairperson, that is me, Rudy Grum. All comments are entertained at the discretion of the committee chairperson. Speakers shall state their name and member number and speak in a courteous manner. The committee chairperson may limit commentary time and the number of commentators or speakers on any issue. The committee chairperson also may redirect commentary at individual agenda items to the general guest comments agenda line item, except when the committee has discussed the agenda item and a formal vote is to be taken. All fire and room safety precautions and regulations are strictly obeyed at all meetings per the guidance of the Arizona Fire and Medical Authority, and we have them here today. They will be giving us a brief presentation. The committee chairperson reserves the right to adjourn any meeting if the safety of the committee, meeting attendees, and/or others is deemed at risk, or if there is too much disruption to continue. After one verbal warning by the chairperson, the committee chairperson also reserves the right to ask any meeting attendees to leave any meeting should their behavior be deemed dangerous or unacceptable. Disciplinary action may follow. Okay, the second order of business, we will do formal introductions of everyone, but our next order of business is 2.01, and it's the approval of the minutes from our last golf committee meeting, which was held on May 16th. The minutes were posted on BoardDocs, and I know they were emailed to all committee members. Does anyone have any changes or comments on the minutes? Okay, by consensus, the minutes will stand as presented and be filed with the other golf committee paperwork. The next thing is item 3.01, our lecture hall room safety. And today we have the fire marshal here, and this is Mr. Robert Olmsted, and he will be giving a presentation on the rules that have to be followed while we're in this room. So, Mr. Olmsted.
Good afternoon. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Again, I'm Robert Olmsted with the Arizona Fire and Medical Authority, and I am the fire marshal. We were asked by the board to come and evaluate the meeting room here about or especially concerning the capacity of the room as determined by the International Fire Code 2018 version, and to make any recommendations as to where people could or could not place themselves during a meeting. I guess there was a meeting earlier in the year that caused a little bit of hubbub, and a lot of people were trying to get into the room and making some statements about what they could or couldn't do in a meeting room. So we have done that, and I'm just here to let you know what we've determined according to the fire code and what our direction to the rec board is. First, we've reduced the capacity of the room to 107 occupants, and that is specifically the bolted chairs that you're sitting in, the free chairs in the back, and the board chairs here on the stage. There can be no viewing of the room from anywhere else in this room simply because every other area is an exit pathway under fire code, and exit pathways have to be clear during a meeting to allow emergency exit. So as a result, nobody can stand or sit in any of the aisleways on the sides or in the back, nor can they sit on the small wall in the back or on the countertop in the back. Now, the one thing I always want to remind people of when we talk about fire code is that fire code is very reactive and not proactive, meaning that we only get good fire code after a lot of people have been injured or perished. So it's an unfortunate fact, but it is a fact. We don't get updates to fire code until something happened and 300 or 500 or 1,000 people died somewhere at some point. So we appreciate you honoring those directives. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to entertain those at this time.
Do we have any questions from the board or anyone in the audience? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next item of business, we'll just briefly go over microphone usage. In front of you, you have your microphone. There's a little push tile. The green light has to come on when you're speaking for several reasons. One, so the people in this room can hear. The other reason is so that the people that are remote can hear us, as this is a YouTube live broadcast, plus it's being recorded. So when you want to talk, you need to push the push tile, the green light will come on, and then when you're done speaking, we'll turn that off. So that's enough on the microphone. Now, the hard part, committee introductions. If we can go to the slide, I've listed everybody just in alphabetical order, and what I'll do to make it easy, I'll start off by saying, I'm Rudy Grum, the chairman for the golf committee for this year. Lifelong golfer for about 65 years. I love the sport, and I just am fascinated by the great golf courses we have here. And I first started playing here in the early 1980s when the place was still rather young, and it's done nothing but get better looking as we've added more golf courses over the years. So I'll just go right down the line, and I'll start with Mr. Decker. And the one thing you don't have to do is you don't have to reveal your handicap. So, Mr. Decker.
I'm Ron Decker. I've been a resident here 7 years, going on my 8th year. Golf is my passion. I've worked 10 years at golf courses. I have a little knowledge there. What I hope to bring as my first year on the committee is some fresh ideas, and to just have the attitude that it doesn't matter how good we are doing on this committee and on the board and with our golf courses, I believe it can always be better.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. And next is Terry Grum.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Terry Grum. I started caddying when I was 10 years old, worked at private clubs all the way up to being an assistant PGA professional for a couple years, regained my amateur status after that. I have 5 children who are all Evans Scholars, and in fact created the training program for the caddies at the Ivanhoe Club in Mundelein, Illinois. Been involved with golf my whole life, love the game, played it for 63 plus years, and I will tell you my handicap, my swing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Hurley.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a 11-year resident. I'm also on the board of directors. This is my 8th year. I've been past vice president, past president, and I've been on the golf committee. If my calculations are right, this will be my 6th year at various times on the golf committee. Thank you.
Mr. Klossmeyer.
My name is Al Klossmeyer. I've been a full-time resident of Sun City West since August of 2017. Golf for me is a love-hate game on any one day, at any one time, at any one hole. This is my 3rd year on the golf committee. Thoroughly enjoy it, and I enjoy working with Todd and also Pat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Julie, are you perhaps online?
I am. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
We can now hear you. Please go ahead and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie Klieger. I too am in a long golf person. From Nebraska, that's where I am right now. I'm sure it's cooler here than it is in Arizona. When I'm in Arizona, 8 months out of the year, of which I am an Arizona resident, I golf at Grandview. In Nebraska, I have been on the Nebraska Women's Amateur Golf Board and also the University of Nebraska Women's Golf Board. And thank you very much for letting me talk to you today.
Thank you very much, Julie. And next we'll have Kathy Lindahl.
My name is Kathy Lindahl. I moved here in 2019. I try to play 3 or 4 times a week, 4 more in the winter. And then if the game is good, then it's back down to 3. And I do have some experience with golf courses reporting to me in my previous career, as well as golf teams.
Thank you. Dr. Miller.
We can lose the doctor part, please. So I'm Dave Miller. I've been here since 2018. I started playing golf in the late 1980s. Took a break for about 25 years because I was on an airplane way too much. Started again when I retired. I play 3 days a week. Love the game of golf. It's really the only thing I do and was one of the main reasons I moved to Sun City West. I see golf kind of having 2 components here. There's the business of golf, which is what Pat really has responsibility. And there's the playability of our golf courses and the condition of the courses, and that's what Todd does. I think they both do reasonable jobs, bordering on good jobs. So we'll take the opportunity over the course of the year to see if we can help them already improve what they're doing, which is very good. Thanks.
Thank you, David. And Vanessa?
My name is Vanessa Stevens. I've been a resident off and on since 2014, permanently since 2020. I think Sun City West is a cat's meow. It is a great place to live. I'm a golf nut. I've been golfing for just over 30 years. If I can play 6 days a week, I would. My body says, no, 3 or 4 is enough. Enough is enough. But I hope to contribute maybe some ideas. I'm a pretty aware person, so I see what's going on at all the courses, and I've seen over the years how they've grown and are better, and I think we have the best place in the valley to live, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and I just hope I can give some little insight or some help wherever needed, and contribute on this golf committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are the 9 voting members on the committee. We also have 2 staff advisors, Pat O'Hara, who's Golf Operations Manager, and Todd Patty, Environmental Services Manager. They're both giving presentations today, so I'll let them kind of introduce themselves at the start of their presentations. And last she's not here, we have Karen Repkin, who's the Governing Board Executive Assistant, she will be taking the minutes of this meeting. She's remote, but that way we don't have to appoint our own secretary. So that completes the introductions. Our next order of business, there is a handout everyone got of all the committee members on all the different committees. That will be changing. There have been a couple of recent changes, so we will get another copy. That is to be treated a somewhat sensitive nature because it includes home phone numbers and email addresses. But for people that are interested as far as who's on committees, that information is all on governing board docs. You can get the name of every person that's on any committee. Our next item of business is actually using board docs. 4 pages have been handed out to everyone with the exception of those that already know how to use it. But board docs is kind of the repository for all the business items of the governing board. And since as a committee, we report to the governing board. You basically can get to it in several different ways. It's all laid out here in the handout. And unless anybody really has any questions, I think that you all probably used it. There's just, in addition to the meetings and the policies, there's an absolute wealth of information on board docs. Our next item, 405, is committee role. What I did here, just to make things hopefully a little simpler, with this being our first meeting, I just took a few of the items right out of our bylaws and our various policies to kind of lay out the initial steps of what this committee intends to do. All committees are established by the governing board, and they assist the governing board in the performance of its duties. What we'll be doing as the golf committee is to recommend policy changes, analyze problems, review operations as required, all in support of the board's oversight. The committee, like any other committee, has no direct decision-making authority and is limited to presenting options and recommendations to the governing board and/or the general manager. In essence, we are advisory in nature. Now, there's a few other things on there, and as the year goes on, we'll discuss how we see our particular role as issues present themselves. So, but in general, we're advisory to the board, and then we will act on things as they happen. So moving on to golf operations, Mr. O'Hara.
Anything with this? Terry, we control it out of this? Okay. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see everybody. Introduction, my name is Patrick O'Hara. I'm from Colorado originally. 13-year employee here with the Rec Center, 37-year member of the PGA. Started at a 9-hole facility as an assistant pro and worked at 18-hole, 27, 36, 54, and now 126-hole facilities. Anywhere from an assistant pro to a general manager. So I've been around the block a little bit, always willing to try and change things and make things better. But Sun City West is special, that's for sure. Let's see, so going forward, maybe? Let's see. Yeah. There we go. Thank you. All right, I just wanted to give an overview of golf operations because I thought the first meeting would be a good time to do this. This is our organizational chart for golf ops. We have 138 employees off-season or full during the season because that includes my players' assistants and call center. The thing that I want everyone to realize is out of the 148 employees, 10 of them are full-time. And you'll see the revenues that we generate and how that comes about, but kind of gives you a quick overview. All the ones in highlight are full-time positions. Here's a picture that we just recently took over in Golf Ops of the management team. I was adding up all the years of employment here with the Rec Center. That's 66 years right there. and 3 of them have less than 2 years. So it's a good crew. It's taken a while to build this crew. I would like to mention Linda Plastis. She's been with the rec centers for 20 years. How about that? Retired chemistry professor. Wanted to share a few things. One of the items that I deal with on a daily basis is to help the managers staff each of their facilities. You can see we have 58 starters. Ball pickers are 15, and then custodians are 25. That's the rate of pay. So my world is a part-time world. Behind the counter, you're going to find up to 9 starters rotating through that pro shop staff. Can be a challenge at times. We got a lot of great employees. I won't go through the numbers here, but you can see that the number of hours worked at each facility really adds up pretty quickly. We're open 365 days a week, with the exception of Christmas and Thanksgiving, where we shut down a few courses, but there's always at least 3 courses open. So it's a busy place, as all of you know. Wanted to share with you rounds by course during fiscal years. Our fiscal year is July through June. It's not a calendar year. So these are all years that start and stop in the middle of a calendar year. Last year we had quite a successful season with 327,000 rounds, and you can see the breakout per golf course. Now you'll also see that they vary from year to year, and that's because of the summer closure. As you can see, last year Grandview didn't have as many rounds due to the turf reduction and the irrigation, but typically they're up at one of the busier golf courses. Here's the same type of numbers, but broken out by member play, member guest, and public. We also have employees accounted for here, and you can see the percentages that they make up. Definitely member and member guest heavy, but public is a big part of our makeup here. I like to stress the fact that the residents can book 7 days in advance. Public is 4. So the lottery and all those components, group play, are really geared toward the resident play, and the public are really trying to fight for the scraps because they know what a great little 7 golf courses we have. Very active employee golf play too. All right, so when the rubber hits the road here, we've got revenues versus direct expenses. Last year, the net was a negative 913,000, or a little over 100, I believe it's 170,000 per golf course. And we had a great year. But the bottom slide, or the bottom part of this slide, I'd like to really share with you, is because this is the challenges that we're having on a year-to-year basis. Since 2016, our minimum wage has gone up 78.3%. And I don't know about you, but if you owned your own business or was involved with payroll or with wages at all, that's a big number. But we're able to kind of work through it. And I know Todd has his challenges with that as well. So total revenues, this is including the green fees, cart, range, merchandise, the beer, the hot dogs. You can see that we're up to $11.7 million this last year. And I really attribute this to having the right people in place, boots on the ground at each facility, starters being better trained. Call center is a big component of this. All those things have added to the growth of the revenue. Rudy, this is a slide for capital projects. I know that you've got it broken out later. Would you like for me to talk about it now? Okay. My capital project updates really had 3 this year. We purchased 20 carts. We just received them this week. We'll put those in service here in another week or 2. Ball pickers, believe it or not, the center picture, those work 365 days a week. We've been very fortunate. Our average age on those are about 10 years old, so we've got 4 new ones this last week as well. And then if you've been over at Desert Trails, this is the picture Karen wanted me to share with you, that picture right here is replaced from the original presentation. because the pavers are back in it, and I wanted to show it complete. So it looks pretty good there, doesn't it? So we'll have some patio furniture. Got an update today. It's going to be here mid to third week of October. And so we're excited about that as well. All right, tournament schedule. This is our new schedule for 24-25 this week at Deer Valley. We've got our first one, Bye Bye Bermuda. It has been sold out. We've got 100 players. So we're excited about that. And then we're working into our 29th annual octogenarian golf tournament. So the big change there for us is that in the past we hosted the dinner over at Briarwood Country Club, but we found that the prices kept going up. So we're going to actually have it catered over at Palm Ridge, and we've able to reduce the entry fee for that. So we're excited about that. I wanted to share this because we don't publish this very often, and I put the numbers together. This is last year's numbers. We'll wait till after January when everybody annies up to join their clubs. The golf league numbers, you can see Deer Valley has got the largest, both men and women. And then goes all the way down to the Kachina Club. For those of you not familiar with the Kachina Club, that's a non-green grass USGA approved club where if somebody didn't want to join a men's or ladies club but still wanted a USGA handicap, they could. So we've got 189 there. So total 2,400 plus are involved with the AGA, Arizona Golf Association. Best tees, we're still trying to really pump this if we can. This is the initiative originated with the USGA. Based upon how far you hit your 7-iron, determines the tee that you play from. Their study shows that usually people are playing from a tee too far back to enjoy the game fully. So some people say, why didn't you use a driver? Well, they do, but not everybody hits a driver. So they said everybody usually carries a 7-iron. And that's why you can use these type of charts to determine which tee you need to play from. Usually pace of play is quicker and you're putting for more pars and birdies. Wanted to share this slide with you. We ended up last year's golf committee season presenting this slide because this was through April, which is our call center, October through April. I wanted to show this because the calls in the call center have decreased this last year, and we'll keep an eye on it this year as well. But the big reason why they decreased is because of the improvements to our online booking components. So less people are calling to need help or to find out more information. They're getting emails or they can self-serve themselves on the portal. So we really don't have a true call center. They're phone calls. All 7 golf courses get forwarded to an office with 2 cubicles. And some of the calls, if it's a flurry, I know that some of the calls get dropped because they can only handle 3 or 4 in the queue. But that's the way we'll measure this going forward, is hoping to be able to determine if there's less dropped calls. I wanted to share this with you. This is something that I'll really share with the Golf Council, since it's the men and women's golf clubs or leagues. Todd and I get a lot of questions, and it hasn't been so much in the last 6 or 9 months, but golfers are under the impression that when you see a scorecard, pick any scorecard, pick your favorite golf course, that whatever that number is on the tee box is what the length of the hole should play. And that's not correct. This states it that we have the flexibility, or Todd or whoever setting up the golf course can move that tee box up to 25 yards shorter or longer, or 100 yards collectively over the 18 holes, and still satisfy the course and slope rating. So the point being is, we want to give everybody the best teeing position, teeing ground, teeing conditions, and so we want to have that flexibility to be able to do that. So just wanted to state that because I had a chance to talk to a gentleman from the AGA, and he says, yeah, let me write something up for you. Still want to kind of beat the drum on the cart path. Todd, you're going to see a presentation or a slide in Todd's presentation about the square footage that he replaced with sod during the summer. And some of it has other reasons, shade, and Todd will go into that, but some of it is cart damage or traffic due to cart wear and tear. So we're really trying to get everybody to use the 15 and 30 foot around tees and greens, but we're also trying to get everybody to use the 90-degree as much as possible. If it makes sense, use it. If you got to drive and not use the 90-degree, do what you got to do to get to the ball. And then I wanted to share this. We have a database outside of the Sun City West database, and it's golf specific. And we've got 2,500 people on this database. So if you're not receiving tournament sign up, specials in the pro shop, lessons, things of that nature, golf-centric information, please reach out to Brian in my office, and he'll get you on that list so that you receive all that communication. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Do we have any questions or comments from people on the committee? Mr. Decker.
Question I have, does the AGA charge a fee to come out and re-slope and re-rate the course?
Yes and no. They do if you're a member of the AGA. If you're not, they'll charge you. So one of our challenges is the executive golf courses, because they are not on the AGA. So with our relationship with the AGA and wanting to take care of our residents as best we can, it didn't make sense not to have our courses re-rated or re-sloped, because they're due every 10 years on these slope and course ratings. Trees get bigger, bunkers change shapes, greens gets bigger and smaller, all those good things. So every 10 years you're required. So when it came up for us to do our executives, we had to pay. And the reason why we had to pay is because they're not on the AGA GEN system. But that's okay. We get a lot of benefit out of that. Todd relies on them for reports and some agronomy things, and I do as well, software for tournaments, things of that nature. So yes, we have a great relationship, and they're willing to help as best they can.
Mr. Miller.
So you've piqued my curiosity now, Pat. What does it cost us to do that? And what's the issue with the executive courses not being AGA?
So it's kind of interesting. For those of us that have played a long time, there only used to be course ratings. Course ratings was based on length of the golf course. The longer the golf course, the higher the rating. But then they found a discrepancy there because we've all played shorter golf courses that were really difficult because they were narrow. There might have been a lot of elevation changes. So they opened up the slope rating. Slope rating is proprietary to the USGA. Course rating, they kind of shared. And they said, no, if you want to get rated by the course rating, you're going to have to come to us now. And so since the executive courses aren't involved, they said, we can provide you a slope rating for a fee, because you're not paying into our AGA coffers. You're going and paying $10 a year for just a handicap. But to get the slope number that you need, we'll do it. And we paid $2,000 a golf course for that to happen. The reason behind I wanted to do it is it didn't make sense to have one of our residents who belonged to an AGA club go to an executive and not be able to post a score. So that's why we did it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the missing piece is why aren't they included in the GEN system? It's because the clubs don't want to be.
Correct. So, and again, I'm talking to the choir here. When we all grew up playing golf, if we started young, we started at an executive course or a short course typically, and then we moved into a regulation. Here in our community, we kind of go the other way. We try to hang on to the regulation as long as we can, and then we work our way to the executive. People that tend to belong to the executive men's and ladies clubs tend to play more socially. They're really not highly competitive. There are some, and those that do get a GEN handicap, but they're there to play on a Wednesday or a Tuesday and just kind of hang out with their buddies and play, and they've got a handicap they use on those Tuesdays or Wednesdays. One of the requirements of a gin handicap is you got to have peer review. In other words, if I post a score, if I shoot a round, you guys should be able to see what I shot. They don't do that typically, and they don't post everything they shoot. They might just post Tuesdays or Wednesdays score only. So they're really not in compliant with the USGA.
Julie, any questions from you?
Yeah, I do have a question. How long has it been since Grandview was rated? I think we're coming on, or it is the 10th year. And since you said 2000, does that mean if we're on that timeline to be re-rated, that would be a $2,000 charge as well, Pat?
Hi, Julie. No on the 2000 because you're part of the AGA, Arizona Golf Association. Your dues to that organization help cover that expense. We re-rated Grandview last year to encompass the change in the desert area. And we've actually kind of have a temporary rating there because we're giving free drops out of the desert. Todd will have more to talk about that. We're trying to work our way out of that. So we'll probably have to, and we also got it rated based upon the desert without a free drop. So there might be a slight difference, but we're good at Grandview.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? If not, we'll open it up to the audience. Oh, Ron?
Would it be possible to one of our committee meetings to bring in somebody from the AGA to give a presentation on and explain the criteria that they use to slope and re-rate the courses?
Yeah, I can sure reach out to them. Absolutely.
Okay, we'll take that as an action for a future meeting.
Okay.
Anyone in the audience, if you have any questions, comments on Pat's presentation, please come to the podium. Give us your name and rec card number, and we kind of limit it to 2 minutes, but with a small crowd today, we'll see what we can do.
My name is Mark Martin. My rec number is 130408. My only question for Pat is, Pat, do we have a breakdown? What is the difference that you've seen with the outside play since you guys went on to Golf Now? Because I know what it was about six, 7 months ago, they started putting them on Golf Now. Because I live on Deer Valley and I see a lot more rental carts out there and stuff. So I was just wondering if that's been a good thing or.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody's familiar with Golf Now. It's a third-party tee time management company. I'm not a big fan of what they do. I feel that they take, well, it's just personal because I think we can manage our tee sheets better than they can, but it's sometimes a way to fill in dead tee times. So what we have learned, and I've gone back and forth. At one time, when I first got here, we had all 7 courses on Golf Now, and there were no restrictions. 4 days in advance, all that good stuff. And it was a trade-out agreement, meaning we get posted on their website, golfnow.com. Grandview gets posted, Pebblebrook gets posted, all of them got posted. In exchange for being posted on the website and getting traffic driven that way, I had to give up a foursome every day at each golf course at no charge. So I was looking at numbers early on, and I found out that Stardust had 4 paid rounds of golf through Golf Now, and we gave away 100 rounds. And I said, why are we doing this, right? Todd does a great job. We're very proud of what we have. We think it's a good value. Why are we giving this away for a little bit more exposure? I'm one of 200 courses on this website. So we took them completely off. And they missed us, as you can imagine. And so we slowly reintroduced it because there are times, summer months, especially late in the day. So the current relationship is that we've put, we let them have 1 course. We let them have 3. We're up to 7 again, but there's some caveats to this. 2 days in advance tee times. We've just switched it from singles to 2 or more players. So we're playing around with them a little bit to see if there's a good fit for us. With small cart fleets, one of our challenges were that we would get 3 singles signed up separately, and they all think they can take their own cart out there to play, and they're in the same tee time. And so we've got to kind of monitor this. As far as revenue, it's about $60,000 a year to us. So we're still playing around with it. I think there's some benefit, but carte blanche isn't what we need from Golf Now.
Thank you, Pat. Yes, sir.
Tom Wolgemuth, 112417. To, I think, elaborate on the handicap and the course ratings, the executive courses opt not to join the AGA because of the expense. It's about, I think, $45 or $50 a year for a member of any of the regulation courses to join. They are joining one of these soft, online-only GIN programs. Because of that, the AGA will not rate the course without charging. If those club members would do that, then we wouldn't have the 2,000, correct?
Correct. So, thanks, Tom. That's a great comment. And this is one of the reasons, can I go back to that presentation, if at all possible? This is why this slide is kind of interesting. One of the requirements to be a golf club, and I'm going to speak out of school a little bit, it's 50 or 75 members, might even be less than that. Let me find this again. There. 50 or 75 members at a golf club, and you can be a USGA green grass golf club. So my thought process when I talked to him, and I said, okay, I've read your criteria. We look at our 7 courses as a community, and all of my players are interacting back and forth. I surely bring to the table more than 50 people per golf course when I have 2,400. Is there any way you guys will do this for us? And they said, you know what, Pat? Yeah, we get what you're saying, but we don't want to set that precedent. So we're going to have to ask you to pay something for this. And I think at one time it was a higher rate, but they said $2,000 a course, and we'll do it for you, absolutely. So we took the hit and did it, and it's been good for everybody. But to Tom's point, that's exactly why they do it. It's a cost, $10, $12 a year versus 40, 45, and but that's what they want. And that's one of the requirements why I asked a GIN handicap for our tournaments in golf ops, is because now we're knowing that the Tim Hurleys and the Vanessas are all playing with the same rules. So,
Okay, thank you, Pat. Appears no one else has questions, and we have no questions or comments online. So we'll move to our next item, which is 5.02, Environmental Services. Mr. Todd Patty.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Todd Patty. I'm the Environmental Services Manager, which is in charge of the 7 golf courses and also the landscape maintenance throughout Sun City West. Like Pat, I'm from Colorado. I've been in the golf business for 54 years. I grew up on a golf course, started when I was 8 years old, mowing greens and changing cups and that kind of stuff. I then moved to Arizona. I took a position as foreman at Pima Country Club in Scottsdale for a few years, and then I accepted the assistant superintendent's job at Ocotillo Country Club for 7 years, and then I finally landed here in Sun City West. I've been here for 33 years. I started out as golf course superintendent of Trailbridge, and then the opening at Echo Mesa, they needed a superintendent. They asked if I'd take that. I said yes. And then they needed a superintendent at Pebblebrook, and they asked if I'd take that. I said, sure, let's do that. And then they asked if I'd take all 7. I said, why not? And then they asked if I wanted the landscape division. I said, might as well. So that's where I'm at. Oh, there we go. All right, first up, as you know, we have overseeding that's going to start at the end of this month. In fact, on October 26th, and that's at Pebblebrook, Stardust, Deer Valley, and Desert Trails. And then we finish out the last 3 golf courses, Echo Mesa, Grandview, and Trail Ridge. They'll close on October 24th. Now, remember that we're closed for 4 weeks at each golf course, and we started doing that a couple years ago so that we wouldn't have a cart path restriction. So weather permitting, we'll open up after 4 weeks, and you're able to drive to the ball using the 90-degree rule. And next month, I'll get into where we want you to drive after overseeding, so I'll have an update on that. And then I did hand this out at the beginning of the meeting. I didn't realize you had a full page in your packet today. I was thinking that was a half page. So now you have 2 copies of the 2025 maintenance schedule. And it's pretty much similar. You have the spring aerification. We have the summer closures. You know, Echo Mesa and Trail Ridge will be closed next year. Echo Mesa for the irrigation and turf reduction project, phase 2, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But we have the course maintenance days, summer aerifications, and again, the fall overseeding to finish out our schedule. Just to talk about water usage a little bit, this is through the month of August. And so I did a comparison between this year and last year, 2023. You can see in 2024, we did use a little bit more than in the previous year by about 43 acre feet, which is pretty good. And you'll see that here in just a minute. We report this as all 7 golf courses combined. And so it's about a little over 6 acre feet per golf course. So we're doing pretty good considering the summer that we had. And again, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. And then with our water usage, I did break this out. Everyone's asking, you know, with the project that we did over at Grandview, how much water are we saving? Or are we saving water? And the answer is yes, we are. So I put 2022 up there for the first 7 months of the year. You can see we used 396 acre feet of water for that time period. And then in last year in 23, 312, which is quite a bit lower. But you got to remember that was our project year. So there was a lot of times that we had to have the water off to do the project. So that's really not a fair comparison. So this year, 318 acre feet or 78 acre feet less. So that tells me, yes, the new system and also the desert landscape that we put in there, the 45 acres, is paying off. Now, I came up with that number based on a 2.8 acre feet per acre rate. It was a little bit higher. I had to adjust that, looking at some of the numbers after the Grandview project. And so our estimated savings, reduction savings, is about 126 acre feet of water a year. So I think we're going to meet that. If we've got 78 already for the first 7 months, I think we're going to get close to that. The other thing I put in there too is our irrigation run times, or our irrigation window. And I use 2022. So this is the time that we turn the irrigation systems on at night, and then they finish up in the morning. So for everything to run through on the golf course, it was taking between 10 and 11 hours. This year we're finding, and this is summer months, this is our peak season that we're putting water out, 7 to 8 hours. So that's a huge electrical savings. That's every day that we're doing that. So, and I am working on some numbers with APS. I'm trying to put those together. So maybe next meeting I'll have some firm numbers on the savings on the electrical side.
Todd, would that be attributable to just Grandview shrink, basically?
That and just a better system, better distribution system. Yeah,
newer
everything.
equipment,
So it's a
et cetera.
combination of the desert that we put in and the new system.
New
and the
equipment,
pump
yeah.
station too has a little bit to do with it. So anyway, you've probably seen these on the news. You can't turn on the news and not see this or hear it on the radio. But I just put a few up there, and some of them are a little bit outdated. If you look and see, we had the hottest June on record. We had the second hottest July on record. We had the hottest year ever on record. They've been keeping records since 1896. We set a number of high lows and then daily high records. We beat the consecutive day of 100 plus. The old record was 76 days. And up there I have 100, I think it's at 105 or 106 at this point. And then the number of 110 degree days, we set a record there. And that's even increased from when I put this slide together. So you can see we are doing pretty good on on the water usage. If you look at this slide, it's been a tough summer. You know, we didn't receive any rain, and I'll get to that here in just a minute. But, you know, our irrigation systems, I think they've run every day this summer, which is really unusual because you get some monsoon rains, either ½ inch, 3/4, and you're able to shut the systems down for a couple of days. And we have not had that this year. So it's been really tough to water these golf courses. And so there you have it. There's the monsoon rainfall totals. And monsoon season runs from June 15th to September 30th through the 30th. And kind of a 5-year history. You can see back in 2019, 3 inches, 3/4 of an inch, 5.5 in 2021. If you go all the way over to the right there, you can see in 2023, that was our last year was a dry year. We had 2.3 inches. I didn't think we were going to have that again this year, but you can see as to date, 1.1 inches, and that's an average, and that's coming from a weather station here in Sun City West. So we put all that information together, and that's how we arrive at those numbers. The good news is it sounds like there's a tropical depression that's going to be moving up this Sunday with a low pressure coming down from the north. They're going to kind of combine together. So it sounds like we could get some rainfall Saturday afternoon, Sunday time frame. So we're just going to have to wait and see. So again, I think the guys have done a great job managing water this summer. If you look at those last two slides, it was tough. It really was. All right, so on just an update on the Echo Mesa irrigation project that we have scheduled to start next year, April 7th. And this is phase 1. It's all been completed. This is the planning phase. We had a budget of $206,000. When we started that, we made some changes along the way. Came out to 171, so you can see that we had a $35,000 savings or under budget for the phase 1 of that project. And I think some of you have seen this. We did put this out to bid to Heritage Landscapes Unlimited in Wadsworth. Wadsworth was the low bid at just over $5 million. And so we did go with them. So there's been no changes on that. And that includes design team, pump station, the connection to the pump station. And it gives us a total project cost of $5.5 million. And then project timeline, the only thing that really changed, we were going to put the pump station in this summer, but with the weather that we had, we didn't have any rainfall and the heat and everything. I didn't want to take the pump station offline and not be able to water the golf course for a few days. And so we moved that out into January of next year. Everything else is still on schedule, April start date, and then completion date for the project, Thursday, August 29th, overseeding in September, and then the golf course will reopen Tuesday, October 21st. So no real changes on that. We do have a public forum, though, coming up in December, and then we'll have a second one. We have not set the date, but it's going to be somewhere next year in February timeframe. So we'll get a date for that, but that is set for December. And then if you played Echo Mesa, you've noticed some of these areas that we've sprayed out. We identified the turf lines over there, so we did spray those out. In fact, they're starting to come back a little bit, so we're having to go back out there and spray them again. It is important to get that sprayed out and get that Bermuda grass killed because it will come back on you. And we've seen that over at Grandview in some of those areas around the plants where they're getting water. We're getting a little bit of a resurgence of the Bermuda grass. So we need to get a real good solid kill on that before the project. And then one thing that we'd like to do during the project is regrass one of our fairways. We're looking at number 9 over at Echo Mesa. It's about 2 acres in size. We would go with one of the new varieties. It's called Tahoma 31. And before this came around, there was a Tiff-Tuff. I'm sure you've heard of that. I'm talking to superintendents. They seem to think that this is a much better turf than the Tiff-Tuff. So we would like to try that on just that fairway and kind of get an idea of what it's going to do for us. You would not overseed for the first year. You would paint it during the winter months after it goes dormant. So maybe you're painting it for like 2 or 3 months. Improved transition over common Bermuda grass. You know, we had a tough time with the transition years this year, not so much on the 328 courses, but the common Bermuda courses really took a hit this year. And so it would definitely transition better than those courses. Lake dormancy, meaning it's gonna stay greener longer and it's gonna green up early. So that's a plus, especially if you're painting it. That would shorten the time that you're having to paint your fairway. Shade tolerant, and I'll show you some areas that we put that down this summer on the various golf courses. Uses less water. They're talking 20 to 30%. I think it leans more towards the 20% than 30, but it's in how you manage your water. I've talked to some superintendents. They said, well, we really don't see a savings on where we've installed TIF Tough or the Tahoma. But I think they're watering the same. They haven't made any changes in their watering programs. So they're just watering the same as the old turf. So yeah, you're not going to see any savings. Increased maintenance. I just put that out there because like the 328, it is going to require some verticutting or vertical mowing. And that's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker. It just means you're going to have to go out there in the summer months and do the verticutting a few more times than you normally would. It does get thatchy. It builds up some organic material, so you do need to get that out of there. And again, we're going to test it for playability and durability. You know, how do the golfers like it when it goes dormant and when it's painted? Is it a good surface to play from? I think it's going to be. I don't see. But the real question is, how's it going to hold up to the cart traffic? We put an awful lot of cart traffic out on our golf courses. Is it going to withstand all that cart traffic? I know with the TIF Tough, some courses put that in and painted. They actually had to have a cart path restriction later on in the season because the carts were beating it down so much. But they think that this Tahoma 31 can hold up a little bit better than that. So it's really going to be a test, and if it works out, maybe we try to incorporate that in our next project, our irrigation project over at Stardust, and then take that over to Pebblebrook. They both have common Bermuda grass over there, so it makes sense to put that in. And then, as I mentioned, we did use some of it this year, Stardust. We put down about 12,000 square feet, mostly in the shaded areas and a few transition areas on the greens banks. Pebblebrook, shaded areas again in the rough, and then some high traffic areas. We had a real bad traffic area over on number 4 as you get up close to the green on the left-hand side as you're getting towards that bunker. And so we made some changes to the bunker. We kind of moved that up, cut that off a little bit, and then extended the turf up there and put that down. So we're going to keep a close eye on that to see how that holds up this winter. Grandview, a lot of the transition areas, we put that down as well. We had a section on 9T white that we sodded with the Tahoma. And then I know it's not golf courses, but the both dog parks, small and large, about 4,000 square feet over there. And we put that down early April. So it's had all summer. It looks really good right now. It's held up. We have a lot of shade over there. We have traffic areas around the ramadas over there. So with all the foot traffic from the members and the dogs, a lot of areas were really getting beat down, but it's held up all summer. So we'll see how it gets through the winter months. And then the other project that we have on the books is a shoreline repair over on number 3 at Trail Ridge across from the green. We would install the riprap just like what we did over at Grandview and some of the other lakes. Also apply the ESS 13. We would spray the shoreline where we've had the erosion and also put in a waterborne treatment. This is by far the worst lake that we have out there for seepage. We estimated if we were to keep that full all the time, every day, we're losing about 45 to 50 acre feet of water a year. So that's big. So with this project, we're going to reduce that. We're not going to completely stop the seepage, but we can really cut into that number. And then we have $48,000 on the reserve study for that. Bids so far have come in right about 48, maybe a little bit less. So we're excited. And we're going to do this during the time that we're closed, that 4-week period that we're closed for overseeding. Sure. Knock that out. We have 43 lakes in our system. I can't remember how many we've done. But we still have some lakes out there that we need to do, but it's just going to take time just to pick away at them. But I would say we've probably knocked out maybe a dozen of them so far. So we have a ways to go, but we're trying to identify the lakes that are really a problem as far as seepage and how much erosion that we've lost over the year. And that concludes my report. Okay. If I could, next committee meeting, I'll have an update on the summer projects that were completed at Stardust and Pebblebrook, and the other courses. We're still wrapping up some things, so I'll have a full report on that. I'll also have an introduction to our staff, our superintendents, to kind of you can see who they are and get a little bit of background on them. And then also, as Pat was mentioned, the desert area over Grandview, we're looking at maybe ending the free drop, but you would still have a free drop from all the plants. I think those plants, we need to protect those plants over there. Absolutely no driving in the desert. I think that's going to be from here on out, especially with all the plants and the drip system out there, so we don't damage that. But we're looking at ending the free drop, but you'd still be able to drop from all trees and plants. So we're working on that. I'll work with Pat and kind of get some, he's more knowledgeable about the rules than I am, so we'll figure that out, and whatever signage we need to get, we'll do that. So, and I apologize for my voice. It's been going in and out, and I kind of knew. I thought I was going to go out completely before the end of this, but anyway. So
Okay, thank you.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions or, yep, Ron?
Yeah, Todd,
Yes, sir.
you keep talking about free drop at Grandview. Question, why not paint a red line and make it a hazard? Or, excuse me, a penalty area.
Okay.
Oh, paint an area.
I'm going to
Yeah.
shove this over to Pat.
Yeah, that's an option. You would see the, I think the rating changed quite a bit there. It would be more of an environmentally sensitive area than anything else, because we wouldn't want you to go in there and play it, right? So that's an option, and we can look into that, sure.
I think what I have witnessed, tournaments and just men's club play and open play, everybody has their own idea of where to drop. Most golfers are aware of how to take relief from a penalty area. So there you go.
Very good.
Any other questions? Or Julie, any questions, comments from you?
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience have a question for Tom or Todd?
This is one thing I wanted to add too. If you were here this summer, you knew the challenges that we had with transition again on the common Bermuda courses, and it was all weather related. And I've talked to superintendents in the valley, and they said this was the worst year they've ever seen as far as transition. In fact, there's still some golf courses out there that are still healing up. They still have bare spots out there. So I got to give credit to our staff and how they handled it this year. They got on it. We did the sod work. We do sod work every year on transition areas, so that's nothing new. Maybe a little bit more this year than we normally do. But those guys were on it, whether it's aerification in those areas, doing some sod work, doing spot fertilizing, hand watering and everything. So I got to give them credit. They really turned these golf courses around, because it was pretty bad there for a while. And I knew it was going to get better, but we couldn't take our foot off the gas. We had to stay on it, and that's exactly what those guys did. And you can see the results out there today. So I really, hats off to them. So
Todd, I have a
Yes, sir.
question. Is this going to affect overseeding at all, or will it impact
the
it?
transition?
Mhm.
No, I think we're going to be in great shape. We've got a good base out there in most areas. And that's what you really want to, that's your goal in the summer, is to develop a really good solid base of Bermuda grass to seed into. Because there's been years where we've had bare spots out there. And I can tell you, when you go out there to overseed, that is so tough to throw seed on bare areas and try to get that up. You have to baby those areas, and you're doing that for months. And so I feel that we have good coverage on all of our overseeded areas, and I think we're going to be in great shape.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with no other questions, we'll move on to the next item of business, 5.03, which is our financials. And we have Ms. Terry West presenting those. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go through the year-to-date through June. Attached to the board docs, and you guys probably have copies of them, are the individual months for April, May, and June, because the last time we presented was back for our March financials. First, we're going to look at, or Pat alluded to some of these numbers already for our year-to-date revenues. Well, comparing to budget, compared to budget, we were 196,000 favorable with 11,722,000. All the numbers on these slides are in thousands. And most of this variance came from our golf fees. And that, yeah, the member rounds came in favorable by 8,515 to our budget. Total rounds, 12,391 compared to what we budgeted for the year. Then for year-to-date expenses, actual versus budget, we came in favorable to budget by 395,000. Most of this coming from wages and benefits, which has to do with us with open seats. And then also we had budgeted a little higher health insurance increase, and that came in favorable this year. So we saved there. And then utilities, we were behind all year. As Todd said, the heat and more pumping of water for our courses. So for a total of 394,000 favorable. So overall, actual to budget for the year, we ended up 590,000 favorable to our budget, and then with only being having $914,000 subsidized from other operations. Looking at prior year, we were favorable to prior year in revenue by $713,000. Again, golf fees, we did have increase. And then rounds that Pat had in his were still over prior year, 4,308. One of the golf revenue from our golf cards. This is just the change in revenue. Overall, we were up 65,000 in golf revenue from golf card sales. Twilight card was up a little, but total was 4% up over prior year for golf cards. Greens fees year-to-date revenue change versus prior year. We had favorable variance, and this is how it broke out between all the different green fee types, with non-member green fees being the largest at 17%. Year-to-date summary of expenses, prior versus actual versus prior. We were unfavorable to prior year by 419,000, but it was all budgeted. That in wage increase from the prior year, and then our landscape maintenance came in favorable, and most of that came from our seed costs went down from the prior year, which was good. And then this was just utilities, of course. We were always behind that and a wage in. So total from actual to prior year, we were actually $294,000 favorable. And that's the end of that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, Carrie, on, let's see, what slide is that? Not sure it's numbered. Yeah, slide 4. Says year-to-date summary of expenses actual versus budget. Yeah, do you just prorate or share those legal and ops expenses and taxes and insurance across the various units? Or is that a direct reflection of a legal issue related to golf?
Legal and professional is one expense line. So all of Todd's are all professional fees that are included in, or Todd and Pat's professional fees are included in that, plus operational employee uniforms. That covers a lot. If you look in on the individual months, you'll see the breakdown of some of the different items that we kind of just roll them up on here to get, so they all fit on a slide.
Okay, thank
But,
you.
Legal fees are, there's, mostly those are all put for the general, in the general budget.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else on the committee? Julie, any questions?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. And anyone in the audience? Questions or comments for Terry? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to our next item of business, committee goals. If we can call that slide up possibly. Since this is our first meeting together, it's a little tough to determine what our goals are. But I think as you all just have seen over the last half hour or so, golf is big business here. So we need to conduct ourselves in a very professional, business-like manner. And we will establish working groups to address issues. And what I did was I kind of looked over the minutes of the last 6 to 8 years of golf committee meetings to see what other committees have done and what issues they've faced and how they've handled these things. So we'll probably have some of these things resurface again and we'll deal with them. But our goal, and which we'll see on our next item here, is part of this is we have to review the policies. And part of that also is then we'll make recommendation on the golf rates for next year. And we also support Pat in the operation, as we just heard, when if there's a rule change that needs to be made. Or we all know that Todd is just faced with incredible difficulties at some time. He's always faced with water type questions, and there's state boards and stuff that mandate how much water we can use. So as we progress through this year, I think the committee will kind of redefine our goals. And, anyone that has some ideas, please bring them up or send me an email before the next meeting, and we'll work on that every meeting. The next item is the golf policies. Here we're pretty lucky. We have 9 golf policies. Several of them are quite short, like less than a page, 2 paragraphs in some cases. But I think the easiest way to approach this is I'd like everyone on the committee to take a look at all 9 policies in the next few weeks. And if you have comments or recommended changes to any of them, please send an email to me, and I'll kind of collate all the comments. And then at the next meeting, for any policies that have no changes recommended, we can possibly then agree to forward those immediately to the board to remain as is. And for those that have any proposed changes, we'll discuss those at the next meeting. Does that sound pretty workable to everyone? Okay, thank you. And the next item, 6.03. Now, I just talked to Todd, and the best time to do the golf tours is when a golf course is closed. And as we just heard, starting on September 26th, we will start, well, 2 of our courses are already closed, but we'll start the reseeding process, or overseeding rather. And that's a good time to actually go out and look at a golf course, what's involved. You just don't throw seed on the ground. There's a lot of things that have to take place. And the other, so we've got about an 8 or 9 week window there where all 7 golf courses will be closed at different times. So as Todd has said, usually early in the morning is the best time. So a little discussion right now. What is kind of the best time for anyone on the board? Kathy? Thank you. Ron?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is golf days. Come on.
Tuesday, Thursday. At least Thursday.
Yeah, Tuesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday on golf, I think later, I think at the end of the day, it's a better time. Everybody's usually busy. Mornings, you want to go golfing, it's usually.
Would afternoons be better? I mean, golf leagues you all play roughly 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, done by noon? No? Yes? Todd, how would that work with you?
Speak up, Todd.
Well, my day starts at 3:30 in the morning, but I can do afternoons, that's fine.
Rudy, can I ask a question? How much time per course are you anticipating for a tour?
I think based on what we've done in the past, it's about an hour, maybe a little bit longer. It depends on, usually we go around, we stop at certain areas and we talk for a while and move on. We try to go through all 18 holes. And so I don't know, Tim, it's been about an hour. So is it, yeah.
So possibly something in the afternoons, 2 o'clock-ish, would that be?
Yeah, I'm fine. Anytime that works for you, I'll make it work.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll get with
absolutely.
you and see if we can come up with some firm dates to hit the 7 different courses and be able then to take a look at overseeding and also, any of the problem areas that Todd really has that maybe he wants an input from us. But, I think the nice thing about golf is you've got people out there every day. And so you're getting input from people who've just played. So, okay, thank you. Let's see. We got, our last item is capital update in the facilities and golf operations. And Todd, do you have anything much to say about that?
No, I think that was it. That was in my presentation, the 2 projects, the Echo Mesa Phase 2, and then also the Shoreline project over at Trail Ridge. And that's all I have on the books for this year. So that's it.
Okay, any additional comments or questions from the committee for, yes, Kathy?
Are we to committee comments, concerns? Okay, we're on that one, okay. Yeah, I just have two questions, 2 comments maybe. I think it would be informative for this group to see, this committee to see group play and how that impacts the tee sheets and the numbers that go with that, Pat. The total numbers that are filling the tee sheets that people really don't realize are happening, some of them. So that would be good before we kick off group play. Does group play start in December, did you say?
Group play will begin once we come out of overseed, so it'll be
November,
around
December.
around Thanksgiving time, yes.
Okay, all right. And then I was kind of surprised. A week ago, Saturday, I was on my way to the golf course, Desert Trails, and there was lightning in the distance. And I'm like, okay, should I just turn around and go home? I'm like a fool. I kept going and I went to the course and I went in and I said, have you seen the lightning? Do you have a policy or anything on that? And I was surprised to hear there's actually no policy. That's what the starter told me. And I said, do you have a way to warn people on the golf course? Warning people and them coming off is their own problem, but is there an action that the golf courses take at all? And I was surprised by that. Obviously, I'm a Midwest golfer,
Right.
So we have a lot of that, but you don't see it a whole lot here, but there was. So just a comment.
Right. That's an interesting topic because in the past, the way that has been handled is anytime they had a facility that had a early warning system like that, there was examples or incidents where somebody got hit by lightning with an early warning system that didn't pick it up, and they were liable. They were held liable. So the overall view of it in the golf profession is absolutely. If we know that there's lightning out there, we try to make people aware of it. But it's kind of play at your own risk type situation.
Much what they said.
Yeah. If the weather channel's on or, hey, yeah, we've heard that there's lightning or something going on, disturbance in the area, you might want to be aware of that. But we don't have any early detection system because of the liability situation there.
With my background, I'm a little surprised because if you didn't have a warning system and somebody did get hit by it, I would think you might be liable too. So my mind was just going in that direction.
Yeah, and that's where it goes. It's saying you're an adult, you're going to make a decision based on what you want to do. If we have a system and it doesn't, let's say it's for whatever, it's malfunctioning or it doesn't trip because there were incidents where lightning was way off and it struck 10 minutes, 15 minutes before it was supposed to be there, and somebody actually got injured or killed. They said, nope, you should have been pulling people off of this golf course. And so we've landed on it's up to the golfer. Something to talk about, though.
Would you like us to have this as a future agenda item, or?
No, that's fine. I just, my mind goes to the legal side a little bit.
Okay, thank you. And then as far as the group play data, or do you understand what she's asking for? And
Yes, and what that would be is we can present some information. It'll be historical, of course, most current that I have during peak season, and then we can share those numbers. Absolutely.
So group play is during peak season, November through May?
We actually take it. It gets reduced. We actually have it through November through September until overseed.
No, I'm sorry. So when you said it was in peak season, it starts in November, around there, and it goes all the way through March, April, May?
So peak season would be November through April.
Yeah.
So I have that data.
Right.
But group play actually continues on through the summer months, but we've got plenty of inventory in the summer months, so that's really a non-issue per se. But the November through April, we can present data there.
Thank you.
would that be something for next meeting, or? Okay, thank you. And then the other issue is I will get with Todd here in the next few days and come up with a schedule for our tours, which will start somewhere after the overseeding begins, so probably not until the first week of October. So if that's, and we'll look for an afternoon, roughly 1 hour.
Yeah, I think you're going to give it your best shot, and some of us may not be able to make it, which is just fine, you know.
Okay.
Julie, any comments or questions?
No, I want to tell Pat that I think he's doing a fantastic job on the golf course with the limited amount of staff that you have out on the course, if I'm not mistaken, Todd. Your guys seem to be getting less and less, if I'm not mistaken. You have to sort of rob Peter to pay Paul at a different golf course. And it's a very tough position that you're put in. I don't know what a recommendation or a solution to that problem is. Maybe you have some ideas that you could bring forward. I don't know. That's something that we handle or not. But I just wanted to let you know that living on Deer Valley as well, I know the guys there are fantastic. They're very polite, very nice, and they do a fantastic job.
All right, thank you for that comment. I'll certainly pass that on to the staff. And yeah, it was a difficult summer. You know, we talked about the heat, and our staff levels are down a little bit. I think we're about 4 employees down right now. It did help that Stardust and Pebblework were closed. Almost every day we had to pull people from those golf courses and send them over to like Grandview and Deer Valley, Trail Ridge for course setup. So they would change cups, they'd help rake bunkers, mow greens, and that kind of stuff. And then they'd come back to their home course. But yeah, it was a difficult summer, you know, and that's when our workload really picks up, is in the summer months. You know, everything's growing, you're having to trim trees, the grass is growing, you're doing a lot of edge work, a lot of irrigation repair during that time. So after we get done with the overseeding, things are going to slow down a little bit because we don't overseed the rough. You're not irrigating as much as you do in the summertime. Trees and plants aren't growing like they do in the summer. So it's going to give us a little bit of a break. But summers have always been tough with our staff levels, you know, and you get people that on a golf course, so you get 2 guys that call in sick and you get 2 guys that are on vacation. It's really tough to manage that. So you're scrambling in the morning to try to figure out how am I going to get the golf course ready for play. But that helps that we have Stardust and Pebblebrook closed to draw from those 2 courses for employees. So it's been a big help. So
Okay, thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience? Questions, concerns, comments? Okay, seeing none, there's one thing that I should have mentioned earlier, but as many of you know, occasionally there's very good articles in the independent newspaper that, either involve Pat with our golf operations, or Todd commenting on water, or when the cactus, the agaves all died, and the saguaros died last year. And so I think that's something that an avenue we need to pursue a little more, to get good publication for not only what they do, but how the committee interfaces with the board and how this place actually functions. And, I don't know who reads the paper, but the articles are fantastic. And so I think that's something that this committee will pursue, and we'll try to keep in contact with the paper. Seeing no other hands sir, did you have something? No? Okay. The time is now 2:53. Our next meeting will be at 1:30, right here in the lecture hall, October 10th. And as of 2:53, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.